What is up, DCS crew? It is Carlos here today in a stuffy vehicle because it is a very hot day here in Georgia. So I'm on my way home from the office, and I figured I'd talk about a nifty little EDC knife that I have been carrying and been using since it was given to me at Blade Show 2019 from Alliance Designs. This is the Scout. It's a Pat Hammond design, nifty little knife. It packs a lot of punch for the size. And yeah, we're gonna go over it a little bit. Stay tuned for the review after the credits. Hey, what's up, DCS crew? Welcome back. And yeah, so we got a little something here. You probably saw it at the beginning of the video with me in the car. This is the Alliance Designs Hammond Scout titanium flipper knife, and this happens to be the blue model. They actually come in 4 colors. There is a blue, green, purple, and gold. Okay, so you can check that out right there. Put some there's the maker's mark, that's Pat Hammond, as well as the insignia for that's the Greek lambda, if I'm not mistaken. That's the insignia for Alliance Designs. Okay, so the cool thing about Alliance Designs, I'm just going to talk about them really quick for a second. Eden from Alliance Designs actually showed this knife to me over at Blade Show when I saw a couple of his other models, including some that are still upcoming. You know, they've been doing a lot of collaborations with people like, say, Pat Hammond. You know, Eden himself has a project that's coming out. He's actually the managing director for Alliance Designs. They've done work with Ray Laconico, who's, you know, done stuff, I mean, through Monterey Bay Knives, through Kaiser. You know, he's pretty well known. Kevin Foster has something coming up. So they have, you know, quite a few things that they've been working on. Now, this particular knife is actually based on Pat Hammond's custom mini Scout. It's quite a bit more than what you would pay for this one. And if I recall correctly, seeing it on the internet, I didn't get it confirmed by Alliance Designs, but I believe that this is made by Reate or Rate or Reate or R-E-A-T-E. That's how it's spelled, and not sure if I butchered the name. I apologize in advance. But yeah, it seems that they may be the OEM company behind the production of this knife on behalf of Alliance Designs. So yeah, let's kind of get into it a little bit. So what you see here is titanium scale with flats on going this way right here, and the blade of being hand rubbed, by the way, going down this way in RWL34 steel, which is not listed on the knife, but that is the case, and I did have that confirmed. Now, RWL34 steel is Swedish stainless steel, and I actually got some facts from Knife Steel Nerds on it. You know, before I did the video, I wanted to study up on it a little bit because you don't see this too much in the knives, you know, that come out via production companies. So just so you can understand what RWL34 is, it's also produced through crucible powder metallurgy as CPM 154. Now, that's not 154 CM, which is what I believe the G10 version of the Kaiser Mini Sheepdog and the old Benchmade Griptilians used to be. It's CPM 154. It's actually a much better version. Now, the steel itself, the RWL, comes from Bob Loveless or Robert W. Loveless. The 34 is actually from Japanese ball bearing steel, ATS 34, from Kobe Steel, And RWL34 was created as a powder metallurgy version, which was a bit more refined ATS34 stainless steel. So that's actually how this steel actually came to be. So you have titanium handles. This runs on bearings. Overall, this is an overall length of 2 1/4 for the blade. The cutting edge is about 2 1/8, 2.125 inches. You got 3.375 overall length on the handle, and now I believe the entire overall length is 5.6, almost 5, like 5 3/4 inches. So it's a pretty small knife. Just to kind of give you more or less a scenario of how big, or actually how small this knife is, I'm gonna go ahead and take it and put it right here, place it right there so you can see how big it is compared to my Swiss Army knife. Now this is this is my Swiss Army Spartan. Let me see if I can get a, there we go. Okay, this is my Spartan and this is the Scout. I mean, they're very, very similar, and I actually know that my Swiss Army knife is actually bigger. Let me see how big it is with it extended compared to the Scout. And as you can see, it is actually quite a bit larger, not only in the, you know, the blade size, not accounting for just the blade length. I'm sorry, the usual portion of the blade, that cutting edge, but the scale as well. That's kind of funny. Okay, so let's take a couple of other ones here so you can go ahead and see what the difference is. Let me get that out of the way. Okay, here we have the Kaiser Rogue, another frame lock titanium in S35VN steel, produced by the production model is from Kaiser. This is the Rogue, a Dirk Pinkerton design that has been put in full production. Love this knife. There is the SOG Terminus XR, which is on loan from Jay at the Knife Beater channel. Be sure to go ahead and check out his channel. I love his stuff, and I actually subscribe to it. I recommend that you do the same if you have not already done so. And this is the Kershaw Dividend. I almost said Link there. That's his big brother. 420 high carbon steel, FRN or GFN handles. That's the standard clip, because I'll get to that in a bit. But as you can see, it's quite a bit bigger. And last but not least, the Tangram Santa Fe. Love this knife. Love it, love it, love it. This is the budget line from Kaiser, Black G10, 440, Kudo 440 steel. It's from Japan. Deep carry clip, the whole 9. Love it. So get these out of the way, which, by the way, I can't wait to go ahead and do the review on this one. This is a really nice knife from SOG, but it's not about that. It's about this guy. So I have been able to carry this for a few months. I was given this after Blade Show, and I really like it a lot. I'm going to talk a little bit about the aesthetics and about the edge and how it's worked for me, what it has worked best for, and yeah, we'll go from there. So starting with the design itself, there is a small difference between this and the custom, which case you have this milled portion inside of the titanium in different colors, but there's this small line that divides one side from the other. You typically don't see that in the custom. This actual the milling in here is what they refer to as the chevron pattern. Okay, so that's just that's so you can understand there. Now the custom actually uses CPM 154 steel, and this uses RWL 34. So they are actually pretty close. This one actually weighs in at 1.58 ounces, and the custom is a little bit heavier. It's at 1.8 ounces. So it's and it's pretty similar dimensions, you know. Now, I mean, this is really good for doing some additional modding if you want to go ahead and anodize the titanium, anodize the clip itself, you know, switch this out for like a Moku-type clip. This has a lot of opportunity to go ahead and modify because of the way that it's designed. A nice plain pivot here. You can go ahead and access the pivot on both sides. I believe that's a T8. And yeah, I think that all of them are T8 to be able to open. I mean, Yeah, I believe that's either a T8 or a T6. I'm pretty sure it's a T8. But in any case, it is a frame lock, and it's a nice secure lock when you go ahead and you engage it. It's a flipper, and being that it's so small, I did notice that, you know, like unlike actually most flippers that are frame lock, when you're going to go ahead and engage it, sometimes you put a little bit of pressure on the clip, you know, which actually hits onto the frame lock itself. The design is such that the clip is on the handle portion and not the lock portion, so you can put that pressure on it and flick it open, and I've never had a misfire on this particular knife. It's a nice little snappy action, and it comes out with authority. I mean, being that it's a small knife, it actually it feels pretty cool, and it's extremely light. I actually like to keep it as an office EDC, and have found that it's really served me well. Oh, excuse me, let me go ahead and get a little bit. There we go. All right. And so yeah, it works really well as a nice small gentleman's knife. It's upscale, and yeah, the price certainly reflects that, even though this is actually a lot cheaper than some of the other knives through Alliance Design, and it's much cheaper than what you're gonna get for the custom knife. Okay, so now that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about some of the pros for this knife. Okay, now one thing I really like about what Alliance Designs did with this knife is that this particular knife is an awesome, great homage to the custom model. Okay, you know, you can go ahead and look it up on Arizona Custom Knives. You can go ahead and reach out to Pat Hammond, see if maybe on his website he has a few. He may or he may not, but in any case, you know, this particular knife, it always, I mean, you know, from what I have seen from all the pictures, you know, whether it's the blue one, the purple one, you know, the green, and even the gold, which the gold is probably looking really nice, but I like this one the best. And yeah, I mean, this really does the custom model justice. And I think that's a great testament to Alliance Designs and to Riyadh, who actually did the OEM production, supposedly, for this knife. Okay, so that brings me to the action. The action itself, as you can hear, it's nice and snappy. I've never had a problem with it, no matter how big or how small your hands are. And you can see here, you can get about 3. I can get, you know, with my chunky little hands, I get, excuse me, I get about 3 fingers and a half. And I can kind of choke up a bit on it and get some nice, you know, nice even cuts there. So that's something I really like about it. So another thing, oh, the power just went out here. That's interesting. Okay, yeah, show must go on. That's definitely a first during this review. The titanium clip in the handles, like I said before, it's a great design. I think it's very aesthetically pleasing. Plus, there's also the opportunity for modifications. Now, aside from the fact that you can modify this knife, one thing that really lends well to this particular design is that it is extremely thin and it disappears in the pocket. Not only is it lightweight, but it is extremely thin. I'll go ahead and put it next to some of these other knives so you can see what the difference is. I mean, you're basically, that's about half what it would be. Let me put the Tangram. There we go. Let me see here. This is the Kershaw Dividend. As you can see, it is a very thin knife when you compare it even to other frame locks. I'm going to go ahead and show you this one right here. This is the Rogue. It's kind of chunky, but I mean, you know, just so you can see what the difference is. It is a unanimous decision that this is very thin. Okay, and it disappears in the pocket. So aside from the fact it's thin, another thing that's thin about it is this slicey RWL 34 blade. I mean, it is almost as thin as the behind the edge as something that you would see on the Spyderco Delica. But Delica is 0.09 in blade thickness behind the edge. This is 0.10, so it's very, very close. This is something that's extremely slicey. You can really put some work in with this, and I'm sure if you sharpen this to a very nice edge, it's going to do some serious slicing tasks. Serious slicing, serious slicing, serious slicing. I'm sorry, I just like how that sounded. So enough with the pros, let's go with the cons. Now, the thinness of the handles that I referred to before, it's great when it has to do with carryability, and that's the the greatest impact that it has. But the problem is it makes the knife uncomfortable for using for long periods of time. Luckily, I'm not really using this to do a lot of work at the office. Typically it was to open up some bags or some envelopes, or to cut an apple, do those types of things when I'm on a break. And typically when I would do something like that, usual suspect was my Swiss Army knife, which the reason why this blade looks the way that it does. But because of the fact that I had this guy, I figured, okay, I'd substitute him for the Scout and see how that went. And it went really well. The problem is that, because of the fact it's so thin and you have 3 fingers on it and you're trying to do, cutting tests, I find that it's great as a secondary backup knife. It's hard to use for longer periods of time, and that's the bigger problem with me with this particular design element. Okay, now secondly, it's something that I didn't mention earlier, but with this knife you're going to get a bit of a sticker shock if you're not used to knives in this price range. I already am. I've bought some knives that are more expensive, but for something like this, it's gonna run typically, you'll see it on Knife Center, Blade HQ, most places for about $225, depending on where you get it. Usually they'll have all the colors. It does come in 4 colors, like I mentioned before. But if I'm not mistaken, as of the date of this video, Urban EDC Supply has a steady supply of all 4 colors for significantly less. I want to say in the 170s range, so 179, 175. Don't quote me on that, but check out Urban EDC Supply and you should be able to go ahead and pick up a discounted version of this knife, and yeah, save yourself a little bit of cash. Most other places have it for about $225, so it is a big of initial sticker shock, but you are getting really good quality. I'm just saying, as a disclaimer for transparency purposes, what the current pricing, the standardized pricing is for this particular knife. Now, because of the fact that it's such a small knife, larger hands are going to have a problem opening the knife. Now, bear in mind with me, once you hit that flipper tab, it comes out with authority. I have not had a problem. It runs on bearings, and boy, does it freaking run. But, larger hands may have a problem with this knife, and they're going to have a problem with small knives in general. So it's just, an additional disclaimer to let you know that yes, this is a small knife. Now, this particular knife, the way that it's designed, being that it's a frame lock, a standard frame lock, means that it's typically designed for right-handed users. And if you can see, it's tip up right hand only. So that means there are no holes tapped for left hand carry. Sorry guys, there is no current lefty option available. Maybe if they sell a bunch, they might, and they get some people asking, hey, can we get a lefty version? I know Ray Laconico has done lefty versions of his knives, and it may not be out of the cards that you see a lefty version of this knife, but for right now they only have the right-handed version. Now, aside from that, and this is not something that I particularly like, but I know that this is something that some people may be interested in, because it may be worth just kind of like removing the clip altogether and putting a lanyard on this and then putting it in your pocket. But there's no lanyard hole. Basically, for what you would need to do is set up your lanyard to the standoff here, right here, and I'd put it on this one, and then you would just keep it in your pocket and just pull it out like that. But unfortunately, there are no holes that have been tapped for a lanyard hold, which would be great, and it would be really useful considering the size of this particular knife. So what is my verdict on the Alliance Designs Pat Hammond Scout? Well, I'll be honest, you're getting custom quality at production pricing. Alliance Designs did the design and did Pat Hammond justice with this particular knife. I really like it a lot. I saw some of the prototypes and the production models that were already available from Alliance Designs. I saw the angry baby bear, the baby angry bear, whichever one it's called. I saw the anchovy. There were a couple of signature series from Ray Laconigo with the thumb stud. That was going to be coming out. That still hasn't come out as of the date of this video, but of the designs, they are all really good quality from the way that they've been produced up to date, and I gotta tell you that this does the custom justice. Now the reason why I say that is because you're getting something like this. Say for example you get the one at EDC Supply, Urban EDC Supply at $179. You get RWL 34 steel. It's slightly lighter than the custom. The custom itself uses CPM 154 steel. It has similar dimensions, and you're going to be paying about anywhere from $450 to $675 for this similar knife, but the custom version. Okay, I kind of feel that for the price, you are getting a much better opportunity to get a quality knife through here from a company that has done extremely good OEM production, and you're getting very similar steel. Chemically, it is essentially the the CPM 154 produced by another company. You're getting it's a Swedish version of the Crucible powder metallurgy 154 steel, CPM 154. You really cannot go wrong. And this is great quality steel. The Spyderco Mule actually has it, and there are a couple of other ones, but typically you would see something like this on mid-tech and custom knives. You don't really see this often in a production folder, so that's something to consider as well. It's a pretty good quality blade, and the blade shape lends itself extremely well to the kind of knife that it is. It has no recurve. I really dig just the way that it feels in the hand. When it's being used, let's face facts. Something like this that's small with a drop point with this nice tip here. It's been ground nice and evenly. We don't have any issues with that. Both sides, it looks very well ground, and I believe they mentioned it is hand ground. So I don't know. I feel that it's an extremely slicey and superb action for its size, and overall I really like this knife. That is my verdict. This is, I guess, the quintessential production subcompact frame lock, and I think I'm going to do a video in the future of knives about this size that you would get in the value series. Some cheaper ones, some intermediate ones, and then some higher end ones. So expect to see this model again in the future. But yeah, that's basically it. This is the Alliance Designs Hammond Scout titanium flipper knife from Alliance Designs. Big thanks to Eden. Big thanks to Pat Hammond for allowing the company to go ahead and provide this production model through the Alliance to be able to go ahead and sell through them. They've done a great job, and I can attest. I've been carrying this at the office, and it's done extremely well in my pocket, and I think that this is a good quality design. I apologize. There is one last thing I did want to talk about, and that's the clip. This was actually a con that I have, and it may vary by person, but let me just go ahead and take this out. This is a great way to go ahead and gauge it. My problem is that it sits extremely high in the pocket. That is how much of the knife sticks out. It's quite a bit, and if you can see what the difference is, let me go ahead and put this here to the side. One thing I can tell you is that titanium clip, it is really on there. So I'm gonna just put the SOG Terminus XR next to it. And that is a deep carry clip right next to the clip itself, the titanium clip for the Alliance Designs Scout. So, it's not something that I'm too proud of. I don't like the fact that it's, such a shallow clip and that so much of it is hanging out. I want to say that that's probably at least about 1/4 to 1/2 inch that's hanging out. But the good thing about it is that when you do take it out, it does look unassuming because of the fact that it's so damn small. Look at this. Very, very small blade. It fits in the palm of my hand. This is probably something that Ben, who used to work for Blade HQ, would really like, I think. And it's in blue, so there you go, Ben Blue. So yeah, that is it. That's the final portion of the review. I hope you like what you saw. Be sure to go ahead and hit subscribe if you haven't hit it already, and go ahead and click that bell as well so that you are notified of future videos once they are available. I hope to see you guys again soon. I am going to have a couple of things coming up in the future that you may want to be checking out, and in the meantime, just remember, if you EDC, think of DCS. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you feel like going ahead and hitting me up on Instagram, it's instagram.com/dailycarrysolutions, or check out my website, dailycarrysolutions.com, and send me a message through the contact page. I'll be more than happy to go ahead and help you out. In the meantime, you guys take care, and I hope to see you soon. Peace.